Hello mga bata! Ngayong hapon na to sa ating English 5, tatalakayin natin ang using compound sentences to show cause and effect. Expectations sa aralin na ito. You will use compound sentences to show cause and effect. Specifically, this module will help you to identify compound sentences, use coordinate conjunctions for and so to construct compound sentences that show cause and effect. So ngayong araw na to, meron tayong maiksing kwento. Kaya simulan na natin. Julia was interviewed by a TV reporter regarding the fire incident that happened in their place. This is a picture of fires in Sampaloc, Manila held December 13, 2019. Use this background picture while doing a role play. So simulan na natin ang ating kwento. Ito ang dialogue ng TV reporter at saka ni Julia. Sabi ng TV reporter, "Do you know how the fire started?" Sagot naman ni Julia, "Actually, I was sleeping when I heard a loud voice shouting fire! Fire!" It was Mrs. Santos, our neighbor. The TV reporter said, "Upon hearing the voice, what happened next?" Answered Julia, "Of course, sir. I immediately grabbed my 2-year-old daughter and ran outside. I found out that the fire started from Mr. Long's house. His son played a candle and the fire caught their curtain. It's too late to stop the fire." And the reporter backed up another question, "When exactly did the fire happen?" Sabi naman ni Julia, "It was 8:05 in the evening, sir. We are fortunate that no one is hurt in this incident. The fire volunteers found it hard to put out the fire because of the narrow streets." Sabi naman ng TV reporter, "So, how will you start your life after this traumatic experience?" Sagot naman ni Julia, "For the meantime, we are going to stay in the evacuation center. Then, wait for the help coming from the government and relatives too." So let's start with the cause. We have few questions here that will define or elaborate more on the cause of the incident. First question, how did the fire started? So, nandun yung kanina sa kwento, the fire started at the house of Mr. Leong's. Tapos, dahil sa kanyang anak na naglaro ng kandila at nasunog yung kanilang curtain. Next question. When did the fire start? So, it started at what time? 8:05 in the evening. So, let's go to the effect. So, these are the questions. Number 3. Was it easy for the fire volunteers to put out the fire? Okay, so tama yung sagot nyo. Hindi madali ang pagpatay ng o apula ng apoy. Dahil sinabi din sa kwento, masukal at makipot yung kanilang mga daanan. Siguro ito ay squatter. Nakikita naman natin sa picture. So the fourth question of effect is, were people physically hurt in the incident? So tama, wala namang nasugatan. Sabi nga sa kwento, agaran naman sa nakalikas sa kanilang mga lugar. The fifth question of effect, how did the victims overcome the trauma? So ito yung question kanina ng reporter kay Julia. So anong sagot ni Julia? Tama. Ang sagot ni Julia, mag-aantay muna sa evacuation center, abutan sa ng tulong ng gobyerno, pang lokal, at kung maaari, tutuloy sila sa kanilang mga relatives. And the last question for the effect is, why should we be careful in using candles and matchsticks? Ano ba yung candle? Alam naman natin, kandila yon. Matchsticks, yung posporo. Should we be careful in using them? Siyempre, tama. Kailangan natin maging careful. Bakit? Pwede itong pagsimulan ng mga sunog o insidente na ikakasawi o ikakasakit o ikakasira ng ating mga kabahayan at mga gamit. So let's go to the proper discussion. Now, let's talk about clauses. Clauses are building blocks of sentences. It has a subject and it has a predicate. It can have a complete or incomplete thought. A clause that has a complete thought is called independent clause or a main clause, while a clause with an incomplete thought is called a dependent clause or a subordinating clause. So tandaan lang natin, pag sinabing clause, dalawa lang yon. Independent, o tinatawag natin na main. Pangalawa, dependent or subordinating clause. A compound sentence has two or more independent clauses. You can combine these independent clauses by using coordinating conjunctions. There are 7 coordinating conjunctions: for and nor, but, or, yet, and so. They can be easily remembered through the acronyms FANBOYS. So tandaan natin, may 7 coordinating conjunctions. Para mas mabilis matandaan at maalala, tandaan nyo lang ang acronym na FANBOYS. So ito na yung mga FANBOYS. F stands for for. A stands for N for nor, B but, O or, Y for yet, and S for so. Although there are 7 coordinating conjunctions, you will only be concentrating on conjunctions for and so, since we are focusing on showing cause and effect relationships. The cause is the reason something happens, so yun. While the effect is what happens as the result of the cause, yung sa dulo. Cause, for example, I really felt tired last night. The effect, I slept early. The conjunction for introduces the clause that indicates cause. Example, I slept early, for I felt really tired last night. The underlying clause indicates the cause which was introduced by the conjunction for. Tandaan lang natin yung conjunction of for. Pag makita nyo na yung sentence, ibig sabihin, introduction yan for the clause that indicates a cause, dahilan. The conjunction so introduces the clause that indicates effect. Ngayon, effect naman siya. Example, last night, I felt really tired, so I slept early. The underlying clause indicates the effect which was introduced by the conjunction so. Notice the comma. Yung quit dyan comes before the coordinate conjunction. Using the answers given in the interview. So ito galing dun sa kwento natin. We can use a graphic organizer to show how a compound sentence is created. Number 1. The fire volunteers found it hard to put out the fire, for the streets were narrow. So isa-isahin natin. Independent clause, coordinate conjunction, independent clause 2, compound sentence. Ibig sabihin, ito na yung buong sentence. At the same time, ganun pa na sa taas. Now, sa independent clause 1, the fire volunteers found it hard to put out the fire. Coordinating conjunction natin ay for. So, ano ba yung for? Cause. Independent clause 2, the streets were narrow. So, kung pag-ipunin mong dalawa, i-combine mo yon through the coordinating conjunction, the sentence is, the fire volunteers found it hard to put out the fire for the narrow streets. So, let's go to sentence number 2. They are fortunate for no one is hurt in this incident. Independent clause 1. They are fortunate. Hanggang doon lang. Nasaan ang ating coordinating conjunction? For. Independent clause 2. No one is hurt in this incident. So, ipunin mo, combining with the coordinating conjunction, magiging they are fortunate, comma, for no one is hurt in this incident. Take note of the quotation there, yung comma. So, let's go to sentence number 3. We are careful in using candles and matchsticks, for they can start a fire. Independent clause 1. We are careful in using candles and matchsticks. So, take note lang dun sa we, umulit. Typographical error lang yan. Coordinating conjunction natin is for. Independent clause 2 natin ay they can start a fire. So, pag ipunin mo, combine with the coordinating conjunction, the same with the sentence above, we are careful in using candles and matchsticks, for they can start a fire. Now, let's come to post-test. Now, this time, we have to construct compound sentences through guide questions. Fill in the graphic organizer below to construct a compound sentence. Use the rubrics below to help you assist your work. So, meron tayo ditong rubrics. Pag sinabing rubrics, ito yung criteria kung paano i-check ang inyong gawa. Okay, compound sentence rubrics criteria are dapat correct capitalization, yung paglaki ng letra, correct punctuation, gaya kanina, may comma, use of correct conjunctions, alin dapat ang gagamitin sa dalawa, for or so, combine two or more independent clauses, paano mo kinumbine yung dalawang clause, constructed a sensible sentence, kailangan yung sentence mo naiintindihan. Sentence number 1. Why do victims feel sad after an earthquake? So, gawa kayo dito. Independent clause 1. Ano kayang sagot mo? Gamitan mo ng coordinating conjunction. Independent clause 2. Tapos, compound sentence, buong sentence na susulat dyan. Okay? Number 2. What should we remember so we will be safe during earthquakes? Take note of the question. Anong gagawin? Write an independent clause 1, coordinate conjunction, depende na sa'yo kung anong gagamitin mo, for so, independent clause 2. Again, compound sentence, combine na yung dalawa. Sentence number 3, the question is, why are we experiencing earthquake? Ano kayong sagot mo? Gawa ka na independent clause 1, coordinate conjunction. It should be using for or so. Pili ka lang. Independent clause 2. Compound sentence. Pag-isay mo ng dalawa. Kasama na yung coordinate conjunction. Fourth question. Where should people stay so they will be safe from hurricanes? Saan daw tayo mamamalagi? Pag may sakuna. Independent clause 1. Ano kayong pwedeng masabi mo? Saan mamalagi? Kasamahan mo ng coordinate conjunction at independent clause 2. Pagsamahin mo na, sulat mo sa compound sentence sa baba. Last question. Why do we have landslides? Independent clause 1. Sulat mo. Anong sagot doon? Coordinate conjunction. Independent clause 2. Compound sentence sa baba. Pagsamahin mo na yung dalawa. Alright? So, another type of process is we have to identify compound sentences. This time, write only the correct answers. Ibig sabihin, sagot lang. Write to check if the sentence is a compound sentence. Indicate X if it is not. Alright, so alam naman natin ang compound sentence. Merong independent clause 1, coordinating conjunction, independent clause 2. Number 1. Hard hats are usually found at the back of chairs or under the desk so pupils can reach them easily. Number 2. Earthquake drills are practiced regularly for it is important for everyone to be familiarized on safety routes. Number 3. Beware of follow-up earthquakes called aftershocks because they can be deadly. Number 4. If you find yourselves in a crowded area, stay calm. Number 5. Stay away from things that can fall, for it might hurt you badly. Right, so yun yung set A. Punta naman tayo sa set B. Tandaan nyo ng set A ha. Compound sentence, check. Pag not compound sentence, X. Yun yung set A. Set B. Complete each sentence with the coordinate conjunction for or so to show the correct cause and effect relationship. So, pili na kayo dito. For, tapos so. Alam naman natin, alin dyan ang cause, alin dyan ang effect. Number 1, people should be informed on what to do before, during, after earthquakes, blank. They will be safe. So, anong ilalagay sa blank? Sagot lang ha. Number 2, knowing what to do and taking immediate action can mean the difference between life and death. Blank. Earthquakes happen so quickly. Number 3, you will need to move fast. Blank. you have to plan in advance. Number 4. In case of a major earthquake, you must have stock or canned goods, bottled water, blank, rescue missions might take a while. Number 5. Falling objects are one of the primary dangers during a major earthquake. Blank, find a table and get under it. Now, so ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina pa. Pagtapos ng gawa ninyo, upload sa Google Classroom lahat ng gawa ninyo or pwede PM direkta sa Messenger ko. Alam naman natin, friend tayo sa Messenger sa GC. But, pa-indicate lang ang section nyo kasi ayoko magagilap sa lahat ng record, sa pangalan nyo kasi hindi ko pa kabisado lahat ng pangalan kung aling section kayo nabibilang. Pa-comment din naman sa YouTube video na to, pa-section sa baba, name at section para sa attendance ng nakapanood. And lastly, thank you and stay safe mga bata.